Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video we are going to look at a number of products from the company Fiberlight. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Fiberlight who have provided these products for review. Now Fiberlight is a company that came to me by word of mouth from Michael Emler. So before I get too far, I'd also like to say thank you very much to Michael Emler for your excellent advice. This Fiberlight kit that's before me today has been great. Fiberlight has a number of fire starting products, whether fire starters meaning ferro rods or actually tinder sources, and these products have been great. Overall, I have to say I have greatly enjoyed these products. I've used them on a number of occasions at this point to really get my fire started in some pretty different situations, whether at home or out in the backpacking and camping application. These products have definitely come into play. Now I have a number of thoughts and a bunch of things to show you, and if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. So again, we are going to take a look at these Fiberlight products. So again, being these great tinder sources, fire starting sources, and really things that for me have come into play in a number of different scenarios. So these have been an excellent kit for around my house, starting fires in the household application, but also in the wilderness. And if there's anything about being out in the wilderness, you really can't mess around. Sometimes you're going to be in adverse conditions, it's going to be wet, it could be humid, maybe your tinder sources aren't the best. So to have a good tinder source with you and the ability to really strike it, well, that can really save your butt. So at this point, I have a bunch of field use footage I'm going to roll in, and then we'll come back and we'll look at these products in detail. Alright, so here I have the small Fiberlight kit. Very small, has a Ranger band. As you can see here, a combination fire starter, so your striker. Then on here, also a small fire steel, so a Ferro Rod. And I believe here, a little whistle. So a nice little combination unit. And then here, removing the Ranger band. This is the small EDC pack. You can see here that this tin actually just slides open, which is nice. So good design on the tin. I like that you don't pop the whole top open, and that exposes the fibers here. So I think a couple things could be done. I'm kind of curious if I can just light this in the tin, and then when I'm done, extinguish it. So if I can use this just to get my pile of wood started, and then extinguish it, I think that might be pretty sweet. So I won't be using my knife for this, so I'll put this aside. But I do want to use really the rest of this kit to get this small pile of tinder here started. Alright, so now as I mentioned, sliding this open, what I'm really hoping to do is just light this. Now I have no idea how this is going to go or what's going to happen, but this is how my intended purpose would be. Basically just going to do a couple of cleaning passes here. Let's get the coating off of this. And now struggling with this to get a good spark. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you kind of need to look carefully. This is angled in one specific direction, so that's where I was going wrong. So as you look here, this should work. There we go. There we go. Alright, so my goal is to basically just use this to get everything else lit. And now once that's going, close the top of that. Now I'm done. So now taking my pile here, I'm going to get that burning, and I'm going to transfer it to my fire. All right, so there we go. Good, worked out perfect. So this Fiber Light little EDC pack working absolutely perfect. So as you can see, there's this Ranger band just nicely holding that Ferro Rod and scraper. Now, what I was saying is if you're not careful, if you look at the scraper itself, and that was my fault, I was holding it backwards. It is angled and sharpened on this one side. The other side's not quite as sharp. So when I was first doing it, I was holding it backwards, and it was just glancing. But now, if you use the proper side, you can hear that bite. And it does throw that spark. So that's just something to keep in mind, is just making sure you're using it in the proper direction, but that definitely worked very well. And then in terms of the actual fiber product itself, as you look here, just a very small amount of that was actually burned. That worked very well just to light this, use it to actually transfer my flame, and then when I was done, sliding that cover back over the top, extinguishing the flame, just slide all that back into place. This is going to do a ton of fires. I mean, just this one little pack here alone, nice, small, compact, will fit perfectly inside a standard fire kit without taking up too much room. I'm actually pretty impressed. That's a nice little setup. All right, so we have Fiber Light 1/2" Ferro Rod there and striker. And then down here, that's the EDC fire starting kit. Now you'll see underneath, that's a striker. I've already used this, so it's a whistle, striker, and a Ferro Rod. I'm just going to slide that aside. I'll take that Ranger band there too if you want. You don't need that for now. Alright, so inside there, that's that Fiber Light material. What I do is I've been just like striking it onto here, letting it catch, and then transferring the flame to whatever I want to get caught, and then slide the cover over and it'll extinguish.
Cool.
Alright, see how you do.
You want to put some birch bark in there?
Sure. Yeah, I haven't even haven't used that yet, so you got to scrape it a couple times to expose the actual Ferro Rod beneath. I'll get ready to feed some twiggy stuff. May need a flatter rock, it depends.
There we go.
Okay, you know what we can do? Fluff this up a little bit because it's getting matted down. The fluffy stuff will catch better. There we go. Is it going? Yep. Nice. Yeah. Alright, so it'll stay lit now. Alright, we gotta feed this thing. Alright, so here I have the Fiber Light 1/2" Ferro Rod. Now instead of using the scraper, I'm gonna use this T17.3. Now, like any other one of my knives, you can get the sharpened spine. Anyway, bottom line is gonna use this here to do the scraping. Little thumb scallop on the side, which gives you that perfect grip, indexing nicely in your hand. And here, oh, fail. Well, that's part of the Fiber Light review. Unfortunately, no glue. I don't think they even epoxied that. That sucks. Well, I can hold on to it, so let's finish this up. Yeah, that's a little difficult to hold on to, but as you can see, the knife will definitely do the job. So my initial impression is this definitely is capable of throwing good sparks. I don't want to lose sight of that. However, the handle obviously did come apart. Now, that's a very, very easy fix. A handle coming apart, you can fix. a fire rod not throwing good sparks, well, you can't always fix that. So, you know, that is obviously an oversight, but at the same time, something very easily repaired. And unfortunately for us, the factory scraper didn't work the best. Now, I could see learning the technique. Don't get me wrong, it is a technique thing. And there are a couple other nice little features on here, like the bottle opener. You got a little scale on there. So a multi-purpose piece. However, for us, we just weren't that successful. It's not to say it won't do a good job. Just a little bit of practice and technique would probably help, but it's really not for me. I do prefer the knife. All right, so there you have it. A quick look at these Fiberlight products out in the field, used in a number of different scenarios, and overall performing very well. So unfortunately, as you saw, this Ferro Rod did have a little bit of a, and I'm not even going to say catastrophic failure. I mean, this fell out of the handle. There are a lot of people that say, and to quote David Canterbury, basically all ferro rods in a wooden handle at some point will fall out. And unfortunately, that was the case. Now, as I look in here, when I was on the trip, I didn't think there was epoxy in there. There is epoxy, it's just not a huge amount. So I'm gonna glue this back into place real quick, and that'll get me tuned up the way I need it. Now, you'll notice we did struggle with the striker just a little bit, and very similar actually to the EDC pack striker here. This is a one-directional striker. So if you are using it with the words towards the outside, it's just gonna glance on by. But if you turn it around with the words facing towards you, it will grip and definitely scrape. And you can see that's moving material quite easily and effectively. And I wonder about the difference between the actual ridges on the ferro rod versus a knife being flat. Does this help kind of prolong the life of the ferro rod? I'm not really too sure, but what I'm thinking is maybe we could ask somebody that might actually know a little bit better than me. Hey, Justin, what's happening, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, very good, thanks. So, hey, first off, thank you very much for these products. They've been great. I've been kind of bringing my my fans and my viewers through a little bit of a journey here, but I've hit a little stumbling block in some of my expertise and my knowledge of some of these products. So I thought maybe I'd reach out to you for a little bit and pick your brain. Right now, I'm kind of going back and forth on a debate on these ferro rods. You know, some people say, oh, you need it to be hard. Some say you need it to be soft. Other people say, well, it just matters how you process your tinder or what you're using to strike it. I was just kind of looking to pick your brain a little bit and see what your thoughts were on this topic.
Yeah, definitely. I think that probably 99% of the time that someone might be concerned about a particular, the way you're processing your tinder or a particular the way that you're striking the ferro rod or whatever the case is. I think that those situations only matter in that like 1%. If it's extremely wet, something like that might matter. If it's extremely windy, your technique of striking the ferro rod might matter. If it's some extreme situation, those things might matter. But for the 99% of the rest of the time you're using a ferro rod, none of that stuff really matters. I'd say there's a handful of things. One, meshed metal rod versus ferrocerium rod. You tend to get a lot more, molten metal, bigger sparks, a lot more sparks off of a meshed metal rod versus a ferrocerium rod. Ferrocerium rods are harder with a higher iron content versus a magnesium rod with a lower iron. Not magnesium rod, a meshed metal rod with a higher magnesium content and a lower iron content makes it softer. So when you scrape it, you get a lot more metal flying off of it. But I think 99% of the time when we're using ferrocerium rods, if it's dry and then conditions are good, your technique could be whatever technique you want. It's probably going to work. There are some techniques that I think will benefit you in an extreme situation. But other than that, just as long as you have the tool, in my opinion, number one, have it with you. You could have the best ferrocerium on the market. You could have the best ferrocerium rod in the world. If you don't have it with you when you need it, it's the worst ferro rod ever made, right? And then also, I think it's incredibly important. Whatever ferro rod you have, and whatever striker you have, and whatever tinder you use, I sell ferro rods, I sell tinder, I sell strikers. The last thing I'm going to say is buy mine, right? My biggest thing that I like to tell people is, obviously I want you to buy mine, but I mean, I don't care, right? Um, we sell plenty and everything is good there. But my biggest thing is whatever tinder you use and whatever ferrocerium rod you use and whatever striker you use, practice with it. Know how to use it. Know its parameters. Know what happens when it gets wet. Know what happens when it's windy. Know what happens when it's cold. Know how to use those things in those situations. Again, you could have the best products ever made, but if you don't know how to use them in those specific situations when you absolutely need them, then they're completely worthless. So rather than tell you, go buy my product, I'd much rather tell you something more important, and that's practice, practice, practice. Learn how to use it in those different situations so that when you absolutely need it, it'll work for you. And that's my biggest thing. But I mean, the argument between ferro rods, we could talk more in detail about that if you want, because
No, I appreciate that. And it's interesting that you say practice, practice, practice. And I always say to my viewers, I always practice in the controlled environment. So when you're in an environment where you can't control it, you've already got that practice under your belt. And that's actually what this EDC pack has been for me. And it's funny because one of the things that I figured out while I was in the middle of the process, and speaking to practice, I didn't realize that first, but what do you call this? This is the mini ferro rod?
Yep.
Okay. So the mini ferro rod is a kit. It's a striker, it's a whistle, and then there's also a ferro rod on the side. Now, I was having a hell of a time getting the striker to work, but when you look real close, it's actually unidirectional. And I didn't realize it at first, and what a difference it makes when you use it the proper way. That's also the case with the full size. The striker actually is sort of smooth on one side and sharp on the other. And again, just not being that familiar. Now, I hadn't used the full size ferro rod until I was out in the wilderness and gave it to my brother-in-law, and trying, and he's like, God, I can't get it to go. I was like, well, wait a minute, hold on. If I remember something about the EDC kit, try and turn it around. Like, okay, there it goes. So, get with your equipment and practice.
Yeah, definitely. That's important. It's funny, and let's talk about this because there's a lot of ferro rods on the market that come with that exact same striker. One of the main reasons why is because we all get them from the same manufacturer. If somebody didn't realize that or understand that, but that half moon shape on the end there is actually not the striker. A lot of people use it. A lot of people use it as the striker, but it's actually not. That half moon shape there, that's actually so that if you run out of like fiber light tinder, you could get a stick and you could scrape that along the stick and you'll create like wood fuzz, like wood shavings.
Well, I told you I was running into some technical questions I needed expertise on.
The striker is actually along the flat edge, opposite. Yeah, it's on that flat edge.
Oh wow, what a difference!
Yeah.
Oh, and it's wow. Okay.
And it too is. Would you say not omnidirectional, but
like unidirectional?
So it only's going to go one way. And actually, I'm planning on, we've been working hard on trying different strikers, and we actually have a new striker. The striker that comes on our necklace is the striker that's going to come with all the large ferro rods now, and that one has, there's no confusion. You could strike it anywhere on that thing, and it'll strike. So
nice. Okay, well, I'm glad you said that because, at this point, I think I have to add a little redo to my review. So we'll get it out there. We'll give it a quick shot. But, some impressions about your actual Tinder. So the Fiberlight Tinder comes in a number of different size packs. And then also the refill. Now, I've used just the EDC kit now on 5 or 6 fires. It probably would have lasted me 30.
Right.
Just this little EDC kit, or maybe 20. 30 might be stretching, but call it like, I bet you I could get 20 solid fires using this, and then a simple refill kit, and you're good to go. This is such a nice, small little pack. Now, I'm sure this is what you're intending, but what I did was basically slid the cover open, got it a little bit of fluff, got it lit, started my actual fire, and then just simply slid the cover over the top to extinguish it, and you're good to go. I mean, there's no reason to be removing product from the tin. How do you go about it, and what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are different. We made that to make like 3 to 5 fires. And the idea of retrieving your tinder after the fact is not really, I think, what everyone will do. The way you're using it, perfectly fine. I always assume you're the first person I've heard use it that way. I always assumed that there would be someone that would use it that way, so it doesn't surprise me. But we intended on about 3 even pinches of fiber out of that little kit to get you at least 3 fires. Take the pinch out and close the tin, put it away, put your pinch down on the ground, process down your wood, lay it over top of the fiber light, strike it, light it on fire, and you're good to go. But the way you're using it, I'm sure works great and totally fine. But that's, hey, whatever works, I'm a big stickler on technique. I'm more so big on, again, learning how you're going to do it and learn how to make that be able to be a repeatable thing that you could do all the time in every situation. And that's really all that matters.
Yeah, one thing that I did learn, and this stuff actually compresses down fairly tight. So if you're not careful, you will struggle to get it lit. However, when you fluff it out, boom, there is no question it's going to go, and it's going to go with the first spark that hits it. So, you have a good compressible tinder source that you can fluff out and get the benefit of a reasonably tight package, but the volume that you need when you fluff it out to actually start your fire.
Yeah. You got to always remember oxygen needs to be there. And there's no accelerants, no chemical accelerants in the product. So, we did that on purpose. We wanted it to be a natural fire starter that lights extremely easy and is very water resistant and has a pretty decent burn time. We didn't want some supercharged, super hot fire starter that required a chemical accelerant to make it work like that. So that the big reason is because we didn't want that accelerant to evaporate over time or lessen over time and have this big expectation of how good it's going to light when 5 years down the road it's not going to light like that anymore. So, lastly, we know people are going to start fires out in the woods most of the time to cook on, and we didn't want to have some nasty chemicals, tainting some people's food. So we want it to be completely natural. So, that's what Fiberlight is. It can be compressed down, but again, you got to understand that if you compress it down, it doesn't have any chemical accelerant, so it needs oxygen. And, if you're not allowing it to be fluffy and allow oxygen in there, then it's just not going to work as good. The way it's packaged, we get a lot of compliments on this all the time about how Fiberlight is one of the best, like ready to go, no processing needed, open the can, take a pin, set it down, strike it, it's done. There's a lot of really good fire starters out on the market, but they almost all require some sort of prep. You got to tear it apart, you got to cut it open, you got to whatever the case is. This one, you just take a pinch, light it, and it's good to go.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. And you nailed it. So, I like the fact that you offer different sizes, different kits, different shapes, different sizes, different volume, different scenarios. So depending on where you're going to be, you could be in a rainy environment. You're going to want a little more product. For me, you know, I'm not going to say I'm a fair weather backpacker by any means, but I don't usually go out if it's going to be a monsoon. So I know that I'm going to go into a situation where it's reasonably decent. It might be snowing, it might be raining, but I'm only going to be out for a couple of nights. For me, this EDC pack, definitely the way to go. So overall, I got to say, I've greatly enjoyed your product. Worked very well for me overall. And now that I know the secret tricks to your striker here, I can go out and give this thing another go. And yeah, I mean, I think at that point, it's going to change my opinion about striker versus knife. Obviously, people have their different methods, but hey, to each their own.
I'm a big knife guy. I actually, that striker that comes with our Ferro Rod, I'm not the biggest fan for two reasons. One, it's made for right-handed people. I happen to be left-handed. I can make it work just fine because it's, you know, it's not very difficult. But I love using the backside, you know, the spine of my knife, and just rip sparks like a champion. But our new striker that we will be having on our Ferro Rod moving forward is a little bit better. It's a better striker than that one there. Striker is important. We also have some handmade Damascus Strikers that are being made for us by a good friend of ours who was on Naked and Afraid, Joe Maynard.
Nice.
So Joe's making some stuff for us, which is going to be pretty cool. That'll all be on the website and stuff like that as well.
Beautiful. Well, excellent. Hey, Justin, your Fiberlight products, greatly enjoy it. Again, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for sending these along for review. And, you know, I think the people watching are definitely going to enjoy this and hopefully get the benefit of your hard work in developing a great Tinder product.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it a lot. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks, man. We'll talk very soon. Take care.
All right, see you, buddy.
So thank you very much to Justin for taking a look at these products and talking through them with me. At this point, just to wrap things up. So you can see here a few different sizes of kits. What I greatly enjoy is the size of this EDC kit. Now it comes with a Ranger band, does have the striker with the whistle and also a ferro rod on it. So a nice little package, all self-contained. I love the size of this pack. The fact that it's very small and actually holds way more than enough tinder here. And as you saw, the preparation for this was absolutely key. Just fluffing it out a little bit and getting it to the point where it would light, that definitely worked. But at this point, I have consumed a bunch of this. So what I'm gonna do here, you have a refill kit. Just basically gonna open this up. It's a nice Ziploc package. It's actually lined, so it's not gonna get moisture into your tinder. But here, seeing this nice big bag of fluffy tinder, I am basically just going to pack it back in here, refill my little EDC kit, and this thing's gonna be perfectly good and full and ready to go. And at this point, repacking it, getting my Ranger band back into place, and installing my striker. Now, I may choose to use the striker or may not. I mean, this is such a small little pack. It's really kind of like a go everywhere EDC kit, which I like. However, maybe you do want maybe a longer supply. So here you'll see the larger size. Again, Ranger band, striker. Opening this up, it's a slightly different design. Oh, there you go. Here's another one. So this was an extra, actually, that goes probably with the round tin. But as you see here, again, just a nice size. You could light that, no problem, fluff it up, get that well lit after you get your fire started, extinguish it. Very, very easy. I love this concept. And looking at the full size here, so again, Ranger band. Ranger band actually helping to keep maybe the edges dry. But getting into it here, again, just another size. So depending on what the style you have, what size kit you want to fit, there are a number of options for you. And for me, this is a wonderful, wonderful tinder source. I think it works very efficiently, was very effective. I like the idea that it's in the tin and that you can extinguish it, use it time and time again, refill it. Overall, the ferro rod working very well. A little bit of difficulty with the striker. However, I do think with practice, it will work a little bit better for me. Just remembering to keep it in the proper direction. And that's the case for all of these. So all in all, Justin and the people at Fiberlight, I am very impressed. So alright guys, there you have it, a look at all of these awesome Fiberlight products. I do greatly enjoy them. I think they're a good quality addition to a bushcraft kit, backpacking, camping kit. It's even useful around the house. If you're somebody that has a lot of fires and you need some good quality tinder, I can say this is definitely a great way to go. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.